Welcome into another edition of Howlin with the Huskies, live from the Steakhouse in Helena. I'm your host, Caleb Brooks, joined by head football coach, Coach Richie Busby, fresh off of another victory this week. Coach, you guys travel all the way up to Buckhorn and really take care of business. You guys dominated the game from start to finish and had a really good showing, and you end up walking away with a 55-17 victory. And I know going into the week, you had talked a lot about the travel, making a trip, it being a long trip. Have to be really pleased now seeing the result of how your guys went and handled that.
Yeah, after a couple of weeks, I'm pleased with the way our mental preparation has been the last 2 weeks. We went up there and got down, went down 7-0. Our kicker kind of mishit one there and gave them really good field position. They scored, but we were able to come right back down and match their score. And then we did it again and gave them the ball near the 50-yard line. They got 3 points, and then after that, our defense was just lights out. I think they allowed a little over 150 yards on the night, and 79 of that was against our basically our JV, the last drive of the game, where they went 79 yards for a touchdown. So overall, I was very pleased. I thought our O-line played really well. We scored 7 rushing touchdowns. I think 5 different running backs scored touchdowns Friday night. Jordan played well. AJ did a really good job. Our H-back, Jack's Rush, probably had the best game of his career Friday night, blocking, and just very, very pleased. And then defensively, Xavier Guy had 12 tackles as a D lineman, he had a game of his life too. So thought we played well, after kind of a slow start, kind of just some miscues, and that's going to happen. It's kind of like playing golf. And I told Austin, I said, you shanked 2 in a row, buddy. We got to fix this thing. Then he did a really good job later in the game. But we were trying to squib kick it, and he just happened to hit somebody. But overall, I thought we played well. I thought we handled the trip well. Had a little incident going down 65. One of our buses broke down, so that I'm up there freaking out, because we have to turn around and try to go back and get a bus, and then the bus, it was a mess for a while. But we kind of, got the ship on the right course and got up there and took care of business, and just proud of our team. Buckhorn's young, and Coach Patterson's doing a good job building that program. But, our defense and our run game took control the other night.
With all that, and, talking about the bus breaking down, that has to impress you even more with how these guys handled that. I mean, that's an obstacle in the way. That's something that they have to deal with, some adversity going up there. To not let that bother them, to not let that really shift their focus at all, that has to encourage you with the leadership of this team and what you were talking about with their guys, the focus that your guys have had.
Yeah, I like this team. I was thinking today, we're starting, you can tell we're starting to practice better. It's hard. We try to stay off the ground most of the time in the week, other than maybe Tuesday, and they kind of, they all get upset. But most of the time when you're on the grounds where injuries happen. So we try to stay off the ground, and we're doing a better job of that. And I see the kids rooting for one another. I like the camaraderie of this team. They have a good time. They're loose, which kind of sometimes concerns me at times. But they've done a real good job on the bus that I'm on of being mentally focused and kind of keeping to themselves and getting ready to play. And for 2 weeks, they've been able to do it. So now we got to come back home, and sometimes being at home is more distractions for me and some of the coaches than it is being on the road, because there's more responsibilities of getting the stadium ready and make sure the pass list is right, official, everything that goes on with a home game. And not to mention you got a very good opponent coming in Homewood and a very talented quarterback. And just, a predominantly traditionally rich, very good program that's going to play hard. They're going to play the game the right way. So we got to work that out for us.
With the thing happening with the bus and all that, how did that affect timing or anything for you guys with getting the pregame meal on time, getting to the field on time, that type of stuff?
It actually didn't. I'm always early, and sometimes it kind of backfires on us. We have to sit on the bus and wait to go in and eat. But I'm always going to try to give myself 20 minutes in case of an Alabama traffic issue. So really, we sat for about 15 minutes, and we had actually turned around and we're going back south to kind of loop around to get lined up with the buses and figure out a way to, Hoover and Vestavia are going to come shut a lane down. We're going to change a whole bus out with players and equipment, all that, which is not ideal on the side of the interstate. But as soon as we go by, we see the bus taking off, and bus 3's behind it. So it was no problem, and everything worked out. We actually arrived at the steakhouse in Coleman, meaning Decatur Price, right at 3 o'clock. So it all worked out.
Awesome, good deal. Well, now shifting focus to this Homewood team that you just mentioned. Obviously, they're coming off of a rough game for themselves, playing at Vestavia, a big 7A opponent. You hear coaches talk about all the time that you're going to have a couple of games where you play your best football, you're going to have a couple of games where you play your worst football, and then you're going to have some games in between where you just kind of, are who you are. Do you look at that last game when you watch them and probably say, hey, that's probably one of those games that isn't going to happen very often for that group?
No, I 100%. I feel like for us it's a trap game. They just went over there and didn't play their best, and like I said, they have a lot of tradition in Homewood football, and I'm sure that they've had Coach Bergeson's putting them through a rough week here, and then here we are sitting here, we've scored 55 points or whatever. So kind of a trap for us, and we've talked about it all week. I mean, guys, don't expect that again. And watching the film, they had 2 or 3 deep passes that had they caught, I don't know the outcome would have been different as far as win-loss, but the game would have been much closer. They had some opportunities, and, Vestavia got on them early and was able to run the football, but I don't think that's any indication of what kind of team Homewood has. My worry is that it's woke them up and kind of got their attention. Hey, we need to do a little better job of whatever reason that happened. So, no, we don't expect to see the same team that played Vestavia Friday night.
When you look at your group, you just kind of talked about it. Obviously, they know the score of that game last week. They know the score of their own game. How much do you have to fight complacency this week coming off of a big win like that, and then obviously them knowing, hey, the team we're about to play didn't play as well last week?
Well, I think kids these days, you have to, I know a lot of them like to compare scores, and I talk to them all the time about you can't say, well, we played this team and then they played them, and because you don't know the circumstances around that game. You don't know everything that was going on, and every week is a new week. Just because, they didn't play well against Vestavia had a great game plan, and for whatever reason, I said, that's over with. Just like beating Buckhorn is over with. We got a new week, and they've hit the reset button and probably fixed some things that got exposed. And they've got one heck of a coaching staff over there. Ben and his guys do a wonderful job. A lot of those guys have been at Homewood for 15 plus years. And every year you turn on the film, it looks like the same team every year. They're so well coached. They're where they're supposed to be. And, everybody's going to have a bad night. Just like you said, there's going to be 3 or 4 games a year that you just don't play very well. And hopefully you can find a way to win or keep the game close. You're not going to play a great game 10 straight weeks. It's just not possible.
When you look at coming off this game with Buckhorn, what were the things that you guys did really well that you really feel like, hey, we've got to carry that on, we've got to continue building off of that going forward?
Well, I think I've seen, our offensive line starting to come together between Leeds, Chelsea, and then Buckhorn. So I hope that continues. We've still got to do a better job in pass protection, give Dalton a little more time. But I think our run blocking has progressed each week, and now we've got to do a little better job in the passing game. Defensively, I thought we did another good job of stopping the run the other night. We talked about that last week. What's the difference in this game? I think it's the fronts. I think our front dominated their defensive front, and I don't think they did a very good job blocking us up front. And I don't think it'll be any different this Friday night. It's whoever can, get after it up front and stop the run and make the ball be put in the air. They've got a very talented quarterback. And I think at one time he held a UAB offer. He may still hold that offer, but he's big and he's physical and he can really throw it, and he's got a big arm. And, a challenge for us is going to be, when he scrambles, not to lose receivers, because his arm, they can't outrun his arm.
Knowing that you have a big-time quarterback that you have to go up against and stuff this week, do you feel like that it's going to make the defense step up a little bit and just kind of rise to the challenge and know, hey, we got a big opportunity to maybe make a statement, obviously knowing there's going to be some other big quarterbacks down the line that you guys are going to face as well?
Yeah, he's just one of several that we're going to face in this region this year. This region is very talented in quarterback play. I think our guys will step up come Friday night and accept the challenge. We're going to have to keep him moving. If we allow him to the pocket to be clean all night long, he's going to hurt us because he's got a big arm. He's a very good quarterback. He reads defenses well. He gets the ball out in time. So we're going to have to affect him and move him around and make him uncomfortable, or we may be in for a long night.
Knowing that with the defense, obviously playing really well these first 2 weeks, only giving up 6, only giving up 17. Do you feel like stopping the run this week, making this team one-dimensional is going to be a big key for you guys having success defensively again?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if we can take the run game away and get in our nickel package and that kind of stuff and force them into passing situations all night, I think it allows us to pin our ears back and go after him. And I think we've got some guys up front that can get there. But we got to stop the run game early in the possessions and force them into passing situations.
You talked about how being at home could maybe be a distraction, that type of stuff, but are you also a little happy to be back at home and have the chance to play your first, real home game in front of everybody this year?
I am, because, I talked to the kids today. I mean, we've been really good at home since I got there, and for whatever, first of all, we got a great student section. We got a great fan base. We got a great band. And our kids just play really well at home. So, yeah, I'm excited about being back home on our field. And I know they are too. I know our students are excited about having a game at home because, our games have been in Montgomery and Huntsville. They haven't been able to really be there and have a full student section because our student section is something else, and we're going to need them Friday night because both these schools have tremendous bands that'll be loud. The noise will be a factor Friday night because the two bands that we have in our student section.
Being able to play this team on turf, obviously they play on grass. Does that go to y'all's advantage any just with speed and that type of stuff?
I don't know. I think 7-8 years ago probably, but now there's so many turf fields. Like they opened up the year at Sanford on turf, so they've played on it. And so I don't know, and I think they have a 50-yard turf field maybe over there for practice or something. But, the turf these days is so, it's so light grass. I don't think that's a big deal anymore.
Looking at what you guys have been able to do offensively, what are going to be the keys this Friday night for you guys offensively to have success, to continue scoring points, and to get yourself another big lead like you guys were able to this past week?
Well, I mean, just like any other week, we're going to try to establish the run game, and then we're going to try to throw the ball out on the perimeter and get it to some of our playmakers out there. But the first thing we're going to try to do is see who wants to be physical in the run game, and that's what we're going to try to establish, and then try to spread the ball out, to Hunter Hale, Nathan Wade, Torrey Ward, some of those guys that we were able to get the ball to last week. But, establish the run and stop the run is what we're going to try to do every week.
When you look at this being the first region game on Friday night, just how important is it to get off to a good start in region play? Obviously you guys are defending region champs, a region with a lot of the same teams. So how important is it for you guys to go out there and really kind of show everybody, hey, we're here to defend this region title?
Well, on paper you look at this and you probably got two of the, the top, 3 or 4, two of the teams you would think maybe make the playoffs. So I think it's very important, to try to get this first win, kind of put you ahead of the game. But, it's one game, and if it doesn't go our way, the season's not lost. If it does go our way, the season's not made. So, we're just going to go out there and play hard, and we know what Homewood's going to bring to the table. Everybody in this state knows what Homewood football is about. So, we're expecting a battle from the first whistle to the last, and I think our kids will be up to it.
Coach, really appreciate you taking the time to join us again here this week on Howlin with the Huskies, and good luck to you guys this Friday night getting region play started with Homewood, 7 o'clock. Right here in Helena. Should be a really big-time matchup. I'm really looking forward to seeing how things go for y'all.
All right, thanks, Caleb. Go Huskies.
The Steakhouse of Helena is the place for community gatherings, rich history, and delectable, made-from-scratch meals. Our professional staff is dedicated to serving you with the best steaks, chops, burgers, salads, sandwiches, and more. You'll enjoy a welcoming community atmosphere, local history, and enjoyable dishes you won't find anywhere else. Our restaurant is perfect for the entire family, business events, and special occasions. So come on down to the Steakhouse in historic Old Town Helena.
Welcome back in. Howlin with the Huskies, live from the Steakhouse in Helena. Caleb Brooks now joined by head middle school coach at Helena, Coach David Lee. Coach, you guys are fresh off of a huge week this past week, getting a big-time middle school win over Hoover. You guys have now entered into a new middle school conference this year, playing against a lot of 7A teams. And so to enter into a new conference and then go and beat the big dogs, that has to be a really, really big thing.
Yeah, when we changed conferences, it was more of what looking down the road for the whole program, 7 through 12, of what would be best for our kids. And then to go into Hoover the first game of the year, and our 8th grade team defensively played lights out. It's probably the best in 15 years, one of the best defensive performances one of my teams has ever had. We struggled a little bit offensively. Hoover's a good team. They're very athletic, fast. They put the pressure on us. But coaches made some adjustments at halftime. Hit a big play over the top on them, and defense made that one touchdown stand up.
Looking at getting the season started with that big win, how have you seen that change the confidence that these kids really have in themselves? I can remember being a middle school kid, and when you get a win like that, it kind of validates all the stuff that you're doing. It makes you feel really good. And can you tell a difference in this group and the confidence they have in themselves?
Our 8th graders are pretty confident. They had a great season last year and went undefeated. They're not cocky. They're not arrogant. They just believe in their abilities, and they play well together. They play well. We've got 61 8th grade players, and they play as a giant unit. It's just one giant family. They're all pulling for each other. The defense is pulling for the offense. The offense is pulling for the defense. The 2s and 3s are pulling for the 1s. The 1s are pulling for the 2s and 3s. They believe in the team concept that nobody's above the team. We're all in this together, win or lose.
You talk about them going undefeated last year and then carrying that over into this year. And so, knowing that going in, how much could you tell that doing what they did last year really kind of gave them the confidence to go beat a Hoover team like that and not back down to someone like Hoover, who has obviously been established for a long, long time?
We talked to them throughout the summer. When the 8th grade team came in, they came in June. Coach Busby and I got together and decided to bring the 8th graders in June with the high school. But they didn't work out with them, but they were there on the field with them, going through the drills, going through things. And I think that helped our kids a lot to start understanding of where they want to be, so that when we got to where we were just doing our stuff with them in July, they were already dialed in and ready to go. We got to the Jamboree game against Homewood, and they were just itching to get after somebody. And knowing coming in as the new kid in a new conference that they needed to establish themselves, and I told them, I said, nobody is afraid of Helena. We need to go make people afraid of us. So they're doing a great job with that. They're actually helping teach our younger group, our 7th grade group, how to play Helena football, which is great. The older guys, talk with the younger guys and kind of help mentor them a little bit, kind of show them the way. That was done for them, by the group that are freshmen now.
Looking at this new conference that you guys are in, kind of explain to people out there the benefit that entering into this conference is going to give you guys, and how it helps with scheduling, things like that, and just what the makeup of this conference is. And
the
point
scheduling is a breeze now. We're in what's called the Metro South Conference, which is a lot of the over-the-mountain schools. You have both Hoover high school, middle schools, Simmons and Buncas, Berry, Spain Parks Middle School, Thompson, Oak Mountain, both Vestavia's, Mountain Brook, Clay Chalkville, Bragg. So it's a lot of big 6A schools, 7A schools, and for our kids, most likely down the road with the potential of the high school becoming 7A, they get to go to some of these facilities now and go ahead and play there, so they're not in awe when they get in high school walking in to play Thompson and looking around that stadium. They'll have been there, and it'd be kind of like, we've been here, done this, let's just go play football. But scheduling wise, it's a dream because your schedules are set. You have a division you play in. You win your division, you go to a playoff game for a championship. If you don't win your division, you match up with someone from the other division and play a playoff game. So they kind of get a little playoff atmosphere too. So it's kind of leading them where we want them to go when they get in high school.
You guys play Thompson this week, correct?
Yes.
So going to be going there. You talk about getting to see that facility, all that type of stuff. Coming off the win from this past week, how key is it to go in and to build off of that? And what kind of statement do you think it could make if you guys are able to beat a Thompson Middle School team?
We talked about that actually today, about we are going there. A lot of teams play well at home. Thompson's a good football team. On film, they're very big. They're very fast. So our guys know that their work is cut out for them. And the way this conference is set up, every week is an elimination game, basically. And so we kind of talked about that of, go in, make another statement. We've got one win. That was last week. We want to go 1-0 this week. Thompson is a team we want to go take care of. From a confidence side, I don't think that's what it is to them. It's more of, we need to make this statement that we're here, that we've got a good football team and that our kids can compete.
You talk about entering into this conference with the expectation of potentially moving up to 7A and that type of stuff, and we've talked about confidence and stuff, but is another big part of it, being able to play with these teams obviously would show these guys if that situation comes about where you have to go up to 7A that they can do it. Beating these teams now makes it to where when you get up there, you're not just walking in and becoming everybody's homecoming.
Exactly.
You're able to go up and compete, and is that really one of the biggest designs of doing this?
Yes, and so now that our kids, they know, hey, we can go play with these teams. So when we get in high school, if we're 7A and we get put in that killer region that is that 7A region with Thompson and Hewitt and all those teams and Hoover, that we've been there with them, we've played with them, we've just got to continue to grow, continue to get better so that we can continue to compete with them.
Being able to compete for a championship, how important is that as well? I remember when I was playing, we didn't have a championship to play for. We didn't, we didn't do any of that type of stuff. And so them just having something to look forward to, that's got to be important for them as well.
I think it is. I think it's huge for the kids to have a goal. There's some middle schools that they play their 6 games or their 8 games and then they're done. When you're in a league or in a conference and you have a chance to win a championship, it's just different for them. They prepare a little bit different. It's not a grind as much. Motivating middle school kids for 8 straight weeks is probably the biggest challenge for any coach because they're 13, 14-year-old kids. Their minds are going all over the place, and it's not always football. So to have an end goal in sight and to make sure that they understand what that goal is, help them strive for it. It helps them in the weight room. They talk about, hey, if we're going to compete, we've got to get the work done in here. Stretch lines, everything. They're trying to do everything, in a certain way so that everybody's on the same page so that when game time gets here, we'll just go out there and play.
Talk about having 61 players out. How important do you feel like the varsity team's success has been in getting the numbers to that point?
I think that's huge. I think the kids see, they go on Friday nights and they see the success that the high school team has had, and they see the big crowds, and it's something that they want to be involved in. Our 7th grade team, we've got about 45 guys. Over half of them never played football before, or they played flag football, had never played tackle football before. So it has helped us tremendously. Over the 3 years I've been here, I think 48, 45 is usually the number. This 8th grade group is huge. I think we picked up 9 new players just for the 8th grade team, going from 7th grade to the 8th grade. The more success we have and the more success the high school has, the more excitement it creates around the building, and kids want to come out. I'll have 6th grade kids come up to me in the hall, hey coach, we can't wait for spring training, we'll be ready to go, which is pretty cool. I know the 6th grade team has like 40 some kids, and I know there's a handful of kids that aren't playing that have said, hey, we're going to come out for football in the spring, coach, so we'll see you there. So hopefully we get another 50, 60 kids and just keep the numbers growing. The more kids you have, the more dangerous your team can be because the more depth that you can have. And that's one of the keys for our 8th grade team is we can come at people in waves because we have so many kids that have bought in or believe in what we're doing and are working their tails off.
Are there any players that you could kind of point to that have been kind of standout players, guys that people should be expecting to be seeing very soon out there on the varsity field?
Oh, there's a lot of them actually that I think we're going to be hearing a lot of good things from. Maybe as soon as their freshman year, but definitely their sophomore years, they're going to be contributing. I think on the defensive side, Cole Davis, Jonathan Roberto, Lane Harris, our linebackers, they are phenomenal. Nathan Reed, J.P. Schultz, our safeties are big kids. Our corners, Isaiah Kinney and Reed Lucas, are getting to where they can be locked down. And then our defensive front, we go about 8 to 10 deep to rotate on the defensive front. So there's so many guys, DJ Williams, Andrew Kim, Eli Berry, Logan Monweezer, Jacoby Stoudemire. There's so many of them there. Brody Nehemiah, TJ Washington. I mean, they just go at them in waves on that D line, which takes a lot of the pressure off of our linebackers. And then on the offensive side, a lot of our secondary guys are receivers too. And then we've got a couple new guys that have some pretty good size, Cooper Hess and Jack Jensen, that are coming along pretty good to kind of take some of the pressure off. Nathan Reed is our number 1 receiver. And so they're coming along to try to take some of the pressure off, he and J.P. Schultz. Josh Griffith has been a good addition. We actually picked him up from Thompson. He's a little, slot receiver, quick as a cat. Scored. He didn't score the touchdown to beat Hoover, but I thought he was in. And then KJ Underwood's played great at quarterback. We've got a 4-headed monster running back with John Roberto and Lane Harris and Jacoby Stoudemire and Brody Nehemiah. They just, Jacoby and Brody are bigger backs, and they pound it in there. Lane is just a gritty player that if we need 2 yards, he's going to get them. Jonathan's kind of the home run hitter back there. If he can break through the first line, he's got a chance to take it to the house. Our O-line, that they do real well. Nate Thomas, our center, has played real well. He actually moved in from Homewood. And then we have Mason Williams and I'm drawing blanks now. This is crazy. Eli and DJ play on the offensive line too. Austin Johnson subs in for him. Hayes Mayer, Andrew Kim, and then our glorified H-backs. I love those guys. We have a 3-headed monster in that with Connor Hale and Jeremiah Billings and Kai Coleman that we kind of told them at the beginning, hey, you're linemen with a cool number. And they have taken that and run with it and have gotten a lot better. They catch the ball in the backfield for us, and all 3 of them have provided us with a new weapon that we haven't really had in the past.
How much do y'all's schemes look like the varsity? Like, do y'all try to do a lot of the same stuff that the varsity team's doing?
Yes. We may change some of the terminology. I try not to give some things away. If Coach and them are putting some stuff in that I'm like, hey, that's pretty cool, we'll modify it to fit our kids and just change the names of things. And I'll explain to the kids, when you get in high school, it's going to be called this. Right now, we're calling it that. And then our formations, just so that when they get to the high school, to cut down the learning curve, we kind of use the same terminology for our formations. The high school signals, hand signals, everything in, we use a wristband just because I get nervous that, somebody on the other side is charting us, and then they have their signs too. So I'm not, we just use a wristband and give a signal and a number, and they go to it. And the base offensive plays we run, and then we put our own twist on some certain things and mix some of the stuff I've done at other schools, and then some of the stuff that our offensive coordinator has seen and things he's done in the past, and we just kind of mix them all together.
Tell me the big keys going into this Thompson game this week. What are you guys going to have to do really well to come away with another victory this week?
For us, defensively, if we can produce the effort we had last week, I would be ecstatic. They have a big running back, number 1, who's real good. They have a receiver, number 7, who is real fast. Their quarterback gets rid of the ball. He's not going to stand there and hold it and take a shot. They try to get the ball in their playmakers' hands as much as possible and as fast as possible. So defensively, we've got to know where those guys are and be accounted for, and then just go play football. Offensively, their D-line is one of the best I've seen. They come up the field in a hurry, and they have bad intentions for quarterbacks. So we've worked with KJ a little bit to identify where certain players are, to know where they're coming from, to kind of help the line out of, linebackers there, this guy's there. And our backs do a good job, with that as well, of helping point out things. So the key for us is if we can run the football, that will open up the passing game for us. Last week, we didn't run it real great. We ran it just enough to where we were able to hit a couple big plays. I'd like to see us run the football a lot better this week, which I think will open up, some huge passing lanes for KJ, and I think we'll have some success.
You also help with varsity on Friday nights,
Yes.
and so kind of talk about your role on Friday nights and how much you're looking forward to this big game with Homewood as well on Friday.
During the week, I work with the receivers, and then on Friday nights, I do help the defense out of the box. I listen to Coach talk and kind of watching film with everybody and kind of walking through things with the offensive coordinator and things. I think if we can run the football and make some plays in the passing game, we're going to be okay on that side. Defensively, like Coach said, their quarterback is very good. We've got to put some pressure on him if we can, and not lose sight of receivers if he starts to scramble. Coach Elson does a great job scheming up for teams. I think if our kids will just go execute, I think that gives us a pretty good chance.
Coach, really appreciate you taking the time to join us here this week on Howlin with the Huskies. Congrats on a big start to the season this past week with the win over Hoover, and good luck this week going up to Thompson. Hopefully you guys are able to come away with another win.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Go Huskies.
It's going to do it for us here on Howlin with the Huskies. We'll be back next week live right here at the Steakhouse in Helena to recap the game with Homewood and start looking ahead to Chilton County.
The Steakhouse of Helena is the place for community gatherings, rich history, and delectable, made-from-scratch meals. Our professional staff is dedicated to serving you with the best steaks, chops, burgers, salads, sandwiches, and more. You'll enjoy a welcoming community atmosphere, local history, and enjoyable dishes you won't find anywhere else. Our restaurant is perfect for the entire family, business events, and special occasions. So come on down to the Steakhouse in historic Old Town Helena.